Hello, 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 hello. It is time for Sunday Soul. I am coming to you live on my YouTube channels and on my YouTube channel and my Facebook. So it has the chat up, and so I can see your comments live. And I did a really cool thing this week. I, like you, am learning the beautiful power of social media, the opportunity to share positive things. And I have a story to tell you about how that transpired in my life last week. And I'll tell you about that in a minute as I visited The Ohio State University and spoke to their football team last Tuesday morning. And the visit was really born out of using social media for something positive. And we talked about that last week a little bit, and it was really awesome. So that was in our Sunday Soul last week. Here's the coolest part of this. Hello, hello, hello. I am using a new platform here. So if you drop a message to me, just say hi, just say how are you, just to make sure that I can see this here as well. Let's see. All right. So regardless, as I wait for that to happen, I just want to say happy Sunday to you. I hope that as you plan your week this week, I hope that you get a little bit of respite, get a little bit of rest, get a little bit of planning for your week, get a little bit of goodness for your week. That's why I said I wanted to do this every Sunday versus on Monday, just to give you some goodness in your soul as you get ready for your week. All right, so I do want to say this. I used the power of social media this week. I was pretty excited. I used the power of social media over on Instagram stories. I've been using Instagram for a couple of years now, just like everybody else. And one of the big things I use on Instagram, and the way I use it, is to be real. Is just to show you real life me. I mean, this morning, and I'll take some pictures and I'll share it on my Instagram a little bit later. But this morning I made a video. I was in my mom's robe at my mom's house in my parents' log house. If you're just now following me for the first time, you may know that she passed away on May 1st from breast cancer that had spread all over her body. And so I came home today, and I came home last night, and I'm here for a couple of days. And I did a video this morning. Thank you. Woo, woo, woo. It does work. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Christian. So I came home this morning or last night, and like my friend Matthew Mosley totally inspired this. And I'm going to get to how I used social media and what I'm learning with Instagram stories in just a moment. And Christian's part of that. But this morning, I read a post after I listened to some church with my dad, and he went to work. And I listened to this post. It was talking about the sound of silence. And y'all, we have such a noisy world. We have so many things that are competing for our attention on a moment by moment basis. I am the worst. I got it right here, right? And I say I'm the worst, but at the same time, I'm so grateful because it allows me to be connected to so many people and, to be at times a light for somebody who's in a really dark place. But I do love silence. I do love solitude. And I think sitting in silence, being able to be alone with yourself, being able to enjoy yourself, being able to enjoy being alone, in knowing what you like to do. I talk about this all the time with I'm Changing the Narrative. If you stumbled across me and you don't know about my movement, go to IamChangingTheNarrative.org. That's IamChangingTheNarrative.org. And we talk about this all the time. When is the last time that you've been on a date with yourself? Like a date, you alone. I don't care if you like walking around the park. I don't care if you like reading. I don't care if you like going to movies by yourself. For me, I like solo golf. When is the last time you've been on a date with yourself? When is the last time, this may sound cheesy to some, but it's not to me. When is the last time you've tended to the garden of your soul? Let that one sink in. When's the last time you've weeded, pulled things out, gotten things out of there, feelings, ideas, thoughts, whatever it is, people. You've weeded the garden of your soul. You've fertilized it. You've planted some new seeds. I mean, I'm in this season right now, and I have been. I cry every week on this. Happy tears, as my grandmother would say, where I'm just planting seeds, loving on people, planting seeds. And I may never get to see the fruit of that. But I know that they were planted in my soul. I know that the love and the serving and the giving and the pouring out of myself, that they're planted in my soul. But I also do that for myself. And my friend, Dr. Josh Claypo, who's a psychotherapist that works with me with I'm Changing the Narrative, always checks on me. How are you doing? What's going on with you, Rachel? What are you doing for yourself? What's happening for yourself? So the sound of silence. So this morning, forgive me, it's her birthday tomorrow. This morning, I found myself sitting in her chair her spot on the couch, wearing her robe, drinking from her mug, sitting in her house, like a little Georgia and a little Gigi. And I felt so much peace. I didn't feel sadness. I felt peace, and it was beautiful and it was wonderful. So I just want to say this, the sound of silence. I want you to think about this week, whether it's a date with yourself, think about what that looks like, how that might make you feel. I really want you to think about that this week. The other thing that I thought was really cool is I learned this week how to use the question app in Instagram. So like in your stories, how to use the question app. And I asked, what would you like for me to talk about on Sunday Soul this week? And by the way, the coolest part of this is next week, I'm going to have my first guest. So you'll get a chance to hear from some of the most amazing people in my life, college football wives, college football coaches, influencers, amazing people that I have just found to be fantastic. And so I started learning how to use stories, and I got some of the most amazing questions, right? And so I'm going to go through some of these questions. If you are new to social media and you have never used, hi, Emma, that's my girl. If you have never used the questions app within your stories, it's amazing. And whether you want to use it to grow your brand or your business or just connect with people or whatever it is, by the way, Emma is the most talented videographer and photographer from Minnesota, and she rocks, and I love her, and she's a queen. So if you've never used it, use it. You know, one of the other things that I think sometimes we say, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. How would I learn? I go over on YouTube, which this is live on right now, and I teach myself. Well, I don't, my alarm's going off in my car, I'm going to go to YouTube and figure out what's going on here. I'm going to teach myself how to put my seats back in my car. I mean, just crazy things that I have learned, and I taught myself. So I'm going to go to some of these questions because I'm going to make this a part of Sunday Soul, the part of the good things that are happening in this week up ahead. Tomorrow is my mama's birthday. She's been 67. And my dad and I plan to celebrate her all day. And we're going to laugh, and we're going to tell stories about her, and we are going to celebrate her. And so I am so glad I get to pour into you on this Sunday. All right. So some of these people are really funny. Some questions are really funny. I want your attention. Please follow me. And I did. I went and looked at their page. I checked them out, and I followed them. My friend Matt, I know his real name. He said, and he goes by Moses_Mosley on social media. And he says, where do you draw strength from? That's such a great question. The easy answer, the real answer is I draw my strength from Jesus. I draw my strength from my faith. Every single day, every single moment, every single thing I do, I am my faith, walking and talking. I will tell you though, here, it's a great question because of this. I will tell you this. That doesn't mean I don't fight the gremlin committee in my chest. I have been diagnosed as clinically depressed because some of the things that I've gone through in the last 2 years, 5 years, 6 years. I suffer from anxiety. Yesterday, I was driving down here. I'm an open book. I'm here to help somebody. Yesterday, I was driving down to my dad's house, and I just had anxiety like gripping me in my chest about all the things that could happen and would happen and all of these things. And I had to think about and focus on things that were around me, that were good, that were real, and focus on things that I could control and things I could change. And slowly, if you suffer from anxiety, I could feel the grip come off my chest a little bit. But I don't want to steer people in the wrong direction and say, if you have faith, if you love the Lord, if you, whatever it is you believe. For me, it's Jesus and being a Christian. But I don't want to steer people wrong and say, if you have faith, everything's going to be okay and every day is going to be great. And no, it's actually the opposite. I think you're tested. I think, there's a lot of things that Jesus went through in the Bible: persecution, standing up for something, or you'll fall for anything. But that is where I draw my strength from. And oftentimes, here's the I think the kicker to it. When I find myself in the doldrums, when I find myself in the wilderness, when I find myself really in the grips of some of these things, I've taken my eyes off Jesus. And I'm not saying, and this is big for me, and I talk about this in a faith perspective, from a faith perspective, you can be depressed and be a Christian. You can have anxiety and be a Christian. You can be, because we're flesh and bone. We're real people, right? We're real people, real problems. But I find if I can slow my mind down and fix my eyes on Jesus and keep my eyes on him, that's where my strength comes from. But I want to be real, and I want to be honest with you and tell you that there are times, a lot of times, where I am very weak. And, I've been very honest about this too. I had my very own dark night of the soul where I heard voices telling me that the world would be better off without me in it. And the voices weren't that nice. So you're going to struggle. That's human nature. You're going to struggle. But for me, my faith is the thing that I come back to. My faith is the buoy in the storm. My faith is somebody threw me a lifeline, right? Like, that's my faith. And I find that I draw strength when I keep my eyes on him, and I know that I don't have to have all the answers. It doesn't, in my faith, it doesn't say figure it out. It doesn't say you're on your own. It says I will never leave you and I will never forsake you, and I will help you and I will lead you and I will guide you. So I thought that was a great question. I love it. I love it. Christian said, finding the right career. Here is, hi, Tiff, Sister Sue. I'm so proud of you. I love you. I'm so excited for your move and everything that's happening for you. I'm so excited. We're fighting, girl. We're fighting. We're fighting every day for our health, our peace, our joy, our families, our love, our legacy. Christian, finding the right career. I talk about this all the time with changing the narrative. All right, listen to me, guys. There are the people that you find that are flipping off the person at the grocery store and honking at you in line and traffic and flipping you off and mean to strangers and those things. I think a lot of times those people are miserable with their lives, right? Miserable with themselves, miserable with their lives. And I think a big part of that is subscribing to this theory that we need to hustle, 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 work hard, 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 make a lot of money, hoard it, keep it, and then we die. And I don't think anybody on their deathbed would say, oh, I want one more day to make more money. No, you want time. You want the gift of time. You want the gift of being able to give to your families, to your friends, have those beautiful memories, right? And so, Christian, I think it's such a great question, because I say all that to say there are so many people out there that are stuck in jobs that they absolutely hate. Do you know how many times, and I know people make the joke and they say, they joke on social media and they say, oh, I'm living for Friday. Oh, I'm dreading Monday. I don't want you to live like that. Life is too short. What I say to people in changing the narrative, and it's not just a message for college athletes now. I'm heading out to the Border Patrol. I've worked with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, going to get into pro sports. It's just a message, an evergreen message if you're 6 or 96. But what I say to people is I want to help you find what sets your soul on fire and run towards it with everything you got. And that may have to be, to begin with, it may have to be a passion project on the side while you make money to feed your passion project. You have to, you may, it may always be a hobby. It may turn into something that is a career. But I know that there are too many people out there that are stuck in jobs, and they're miserable, and they're making other people around them miserable. They're making people in traffic miserable and cussing out the little old lady, and they're angry. And so I get it. You know why I get it? Because I walked away from a 17-year sport. I'm getting all passionate now. I walked away from a 17-year sportscasting career last fall to follow I'm Changing the Narrative. And I'm going to tell you about a private conversation I had that I've never talked about before, and I did not plan to talk about it today. Thank you, Christian. I, too, struggled with identity. And I called a friend of mine, a very successful woman in the sports industry. And I said, but I'm scared. I'm scared. For 17 years, I've been a sportscaster. For 17 years, this is what I've done. This is what I've been. And she said to me, you are so much more than a sportscaster. And see, here I am all over the country. Here's the goal to it. Here I am all over the country reminding athletes, you're so much more than an athlete, but I myself needed a friend, a lifeline to pull me out, to remind me that I am more than a sportscaster. And she reminded me that the 17 years of understanding the sports industry and building friendships with coaches and building up the trust was my foundation. And then I may have gotten into the meeting rooms because of being a sportscaster, but I'm not invited in them anymore because I'm a sportscaster. And so I gotta tell you, I've been talking about this a lot lately. If we were back in biblical days, I'd be a pillar of salt. Like I was like Lot's wife. I have looked back. I have been a little jelly at times. I'm like, but God, are you sure that you wanted me to do this? Are you sure this is what you meant for me? Like, really? Like, I need some other things to come together. I need this to happen, God. Like, this is scary. Are you sure? And in the still small voice, he said, sure. And when I get a message from one of my kings or queens that said, you changed my life, you made me feel not alone, Miss Rachel, I made some phone calls after I left your talk that I've been needing to make, then I know I'm sure. And my desire, my greatest wish, one of my greatest wishes for people is to find what sets their soul on fire and run towards it with everything you got. Here's another great example I give, and I'm changing the narrative. I love Meals on Wheels, right? Like, I think Meals on Wheels is such a fantastic organization. Like, it's amazing, right? But if I were trying to serve with Meals on Wheels for the past 3 years, I would have already burnt out. Because while I love the elderly, and my mom and I went to nursing homes when I was little, and she taught me the service and motion and making blueberry muffins for elderly and going to sit with them at random nursing homes. That's not my thing. It's not my calling. And I think sometimes some of us get stuck in just service. Okay, service. Okay, I'm just serving. I'm serving. But if it's not serving in your sweet spot, I know we need to serve. Find out what that sweet spot is for you. Find out what sets your soul on fire and run towards it with everything you got. All right. So I just really want to share, and I thought it was such a great question because of the fact that if I'm being vulnerable, and I am, I was scared. I'm still scared. But I don't think that that courage is the absence of fear. I think courage is feeling fear, but choosing to step out anyway. And so I'm human. I feel fear. Got to keep my eyes back on God, right? But I am courageous because I choose to step out in spite of the fear, if that makes sense. Christian, I hope that answered your question. And I would love to answer anything else. I just think you're awesome, by the way. All right, so let me see what else we have, what other questions we have here. Finding the right career. Thank you, Lindsay, Ellen, Rain. Also, Abednego Boutique. They were very sweet and said some nice things. All right, the White Coat Beauty on Instagram. She said, do you like to travel? Holy bejesus. I love to travel. Traveling is like lights my soul. Hi, Tequila. I've been praying for you. Tequila is an amazing mama and just amazing, amazing woman. She's strong. She's courageous. She loves the Lord. She's awesome. But I love to travel. And I say I'm pretty well traveled. I've been to Israel, Tanzania, Kenya, Dominican Republic, Belize, Mexico, Guatemala, Turkey when I was younger. Love you, love you, love you, Tequila Girl. I'm praying you up. And if anybody else on here prays, pray up Tequila, because she's one of them single mamas out there that is fighting and pushing. She's an entrepreneur and she works hard. And just want to give all my single mamas and single daddies a little woo woo out there. But yes, I love to travel. And I'm going to tell you a little fun little fact. I love to take solo trips. It's not that I don't love my people, because I love my people, but I love to take solo trips. And I highly recommend you do it, whether it's if you're a mama, single daddy, take one night, or if you can't break away, finances, whatever it may be, take one night and go to a hotel. Take one night and go to the hot springs. Take one night, drive to the beach. Take one night and go to the mountains. Do it. I'm telling you, there's something that happens when you get alone and you get silent, that sound of silence with your soul, and you got a journal and whatever it is. I've taken 2 recently. My friend, has a house in Pacific Grove. Hi, Amy. Thank you. Love you. And after the national championship last year, my mom had just been diagnosed and we were battling hard. And little did I know we were about halfway through our battle. But he said, I'd like to give you the house. And he said, it's just a shack. And I said, okay. And little did I know, this shack like faced the Pacific Ocean, and it wasn't a shack. It was beautiful. And I got to stay there all by myself for 5 days. And I slept as long as I wanted to. I grilled for the first time by myself. I did it all wrong. I drove up the coast, like the famous coast of California, where they do all the car commercials. I stopped and took pictures and did like jumps and all sorts of things and just acted silly. I cried, I laughed, I danced on the balcony by myself. And I got to do another one of those recently, last October. I went to Mexico, where my mom and I last did one of our mother-daughter trips. And I'm Mexican. And it was beautiful. And I got to take pictures and go to a cenote. The other really cool thing that people do now, if you're going to take a trip and you save up for it, is you hire a photographer wherever that place is, like wherever you're going. If it's a beautiful place, you can even do it yourself these days, but you get pictures while you're there. And so I got to swim in a cenote where my ancestors, because I'm Mayan as well, swam, and I got to have a photo shoot done, and it was amazing. So yes, to my friend, the White Coat Beauty. Do you like to travel? Yes, I do. And absolutely, I highly recommend doing it with your peeps. But if you can do a trip, any trip ever by yourself, you got to do it. Okay. Let's see. Hi from Los Angeles. I love your page. How's it going? Rachel Baribeau. It's going good. I wanted to tell you guys a story. I don't want to keep you too long on this Sunday Soul, but if you do have any questions, drop them below for me, and I'd love to answer any live questions. And I'll keep doing these stories, by the way. They're in my Instagram stories. And I'll keep doing these questions, and so I can answer the questions that you like as well, or the things you want to know. I'm not gonna lie. Let me be honest. I'm always honest, and I try not to lie. Like I think if you just live your life that way, plus I'm a terrible liar. But I was always scared to do the ask me anythings. Because I've had people be inappropriate in the past, and having a public career, you just don't know what people are going to ask. But now I'm like, I can handle that. What have I been scared of? Like, ask me. And also, it's really cool because they're anonymous as well. And so if you don't want to answer something, you don't have to answer it. And it was really awesome. So I wanted to tell you before I jump off, though, I'm going to make sure that I have hit all these questions just to make sure. Oh, nice page. Have a really great day. God bless you. Yes, I think we got to all the questions there. So here is something I wanted to share before we jump off today, and it was my amazing experience at Ohio State on Tuesday morning. I was able to go in and talk to the football players about good love. Good love. And I talked to them about loving yourself, respecting yourself, being a king, finding your queen, treating all women the way that you would treat this queen that you see. We do this exercise where they close their eyes and where they envision the woman that they love the most. And so I really get them to say, what would the world look like if we treated all women like that? And it's an amazing exercise. And like guys come up to me afterward and say, I didn't know I was supposed to treat her like I treated my grandma. You know, I didn't know. I didn't understand those things. And so we talked a lot about relationships and good love. And I said, for a lot of you, there are conversations that you need to have when you leave here. There are things that you need to say you're sorry for. There are things you need to make right. There are things that you need to say, because guilt and shame and just, you know, anger and whatever it may be, you're carrying it around like a 2-ton weight. And whether it's a family member or a friend or something you need to apologize for, or something you need to forgive somebody for that hasn't even asked for forgiveness. And so it was just an amazing, amazing time. I'm so thankful to Ryan Day that he allowed me to come in. I'm so thankful to the Ohio State players. And, you know, people think they have different ideas about what goes on in my talks. And what's interesting is we cover a variety of topics: mental health, dating, interpersonal relationships, purpose, passion, platform, being a king or a queen every single day. I mean, a ton of different, you know, different topics. And what's interesting to me is it's not necessarily, and it starts with the talk. It starts with me in front of them. But the biggest, I think, the biggest part is the afterwards, where they hug me or they message me and we keep in touch and they tell me, your talk changed my life. You taught me what it means. Let me read you this one. This is really good. I'm not going to tell you his name, but he said, I called him a king on his social media because we follow each other on social media to be able to keep up with them. And I keep up with them, check on them, make sure they're doing good. And I said, king. And he said, thank you for showing me how to be one. Appreciate the open discussion and everything you helped us with in terms of our mental and physical well-being. Be a king. You know, I think sometimes, and this is where I'll end this week, I think sometimes we assume that somebody knows how to love well. We assume that somebody knows how to love themselves well or love others well, when in reality we have no idea what they saw growing up. We have no idea whether they saw abuse in the home, any sort of abuse, neglect, whether a family member wasn't there. We don't know what they saw, right? And so we assume sometimes that people should love well, should know right from right and wrong from wrong. And it's my mission. It's one of my missions, of the mission of I'm changing the narrative, to travel the world and teach people how to love themselves well, but how to love others well. Good love all around, their friends, their teachers, their coworkers, and corporations. I don't want you to have burnout. I don't want you to dread going to work. I want the workplace to be a beautiful place where you want to be there. And so it's my version of good love, healthy relationships. It was really cool. We did a lot of back and forth with the players. I said, this isn't a talk. It's a back and forth. It's interactive. They would raise their hand and say, Rachel, what do you do here? What do you do here? What do you do here? How do you handle this? And then questions in private. I must have gotten 10, 15 messages from players. And it was my first stop of 2020. And I'm going to be out on the road doing a lot of amazing things. You can go to imchangingthenarrative.org. That's imchangingthenarrative.org if you want more information. But I love you guys. I'm going to continue to do the stories, and next week I'll have a real treat for you. I'm going to have a guest, and it is going to be so amazing. Sunday Soul, if you loved anything that I said today, I hope that you will hit the share button when this is over so somebody else can see it. Love you guys. Go forth this week. Remember to love yourself, and remember to be a king, a queen, or be royal. Because here's the reality. The world has enough followers. We desperately need more kings and queens to make a difference in this world. I love you guys. Bye.